Elizabeth Sinclair sat by the tall window of her grand Manhattan mansion. Outside, the city was alive, cars moving fast, people walking with coffee cups, children laughing in the park. But inside her home, everything was silent. The walls were covered in beautiful art, and golden light from a chandelier sparkled above her. Expensive rugs lay under her feet, yet none of it made her feel alive. The mansion was huge, but it felt empty, like a museum without visitors. Elizabeth was a billionaire. She had built her name through smart investments, owning companies all over the world. People respected her. Magazines called her the Ice Queen of Wall Street. But they didn't know the real her. She was not cold. She was just tired. Tired of smiling when her heart was broken. Tired of pretending that success could fill the space her daughter had left behind. Her daughter Lily had died 5 years ago in a car accident. Lily had been only 32, full of life, laughter, and kindness. She had wanted to open a little bakery, not work in her mother's corporate empire. Elizabeth had disagreed, pushed her toward business school, and now she would never get the chance to say sorry. Elizabeth kept Lily's room just the way it was. Every morning, she walked past the door, paused, and then moved on without opening it. She had no husband. He had passed away years earlier. No siblings, no family, just a sea of employees, boardrooms, and staff who smiled politely, but never looked her in the eye. Every night, she sat alone at a table big enough for 20. Meals prepared by a chef who barely spoke a word. And every night she ate quietly while memories whispered around her. One morning, as the gray light touched her window, her only friend Sarah walked into the room, holding 2 cups of coffee. "Liz, you're going to turn into a statue if you keep sitting here like this," Sarah said playfully. Elizabeth gave a tired smile. "I'm not in the mood, Sarah." "You're never in the mood," Sarah replied, handing her a cup. "You haven't left this house in a month." "I leave for meetings." "That doesn't count," Sarah said. "You go from black car to boardroom and back like a robot." "I'm comfortable." "No, you're safe," Sarah said gently. "And safe isn't the same as happy." Elizabeth looked away. Sarah sat beside her. "Let's do something different today. Come with me to a little place I found downtown. It's a small family restaurant. Nothing fancy, but it has soul. It reminds me of Lily." The name made Elizabeth flinch, but she didn't stop Sarah. "I don't want to be around people," Elizabeth said softly. "Then don't talk. Just sit. Breathe. Eat something that isn't made by your silent chef." Elizabeth looked out the window again. The sky was soft and gray like a faded photograph. She thought of Lily laughing in the kitchen, flour on her nose. She thought of the way Lily used to say, "Mom, not everything has to be perfect to be beautiful." Maybe for once she could listen. "Fine," Elizabeth said, "but I'm not staying long," Sarah grinned. "You'll thank me later." And with that, the Ice Queen stepped out into the world where warm hearts and unexpected memories waited just around the corner. The streets of downtown Manhattan were busy with life. People hurried past tall buildings, buses rumbled down the road, and music drifted from an open window above a bookstore. Elizabeth wore her usual, a black designer coat, dark sunglasses, and perfectly brushed hair. She looked like she belonged on the cover of a business magazine. But inside, she felt nervous, like a stranger in her own city. Sarah led her through a small alley where tall buildings gave way to smaller ones, each with colorful signs and flower pots in the windows. It felt different here. Softer, slower. "There it is," Sarah said, pointing. It was a tiny place called Maya's Kitchen. The windows were a bit foggy from steam, and a chalkboard outside read, "Try our grandma's chicken soup. Good for the heart." Elizabeth hesitated. "It's small." "Yes," Sarah smiled. "And perfect." They stepped inside, and a bell above the door gave a gentle ring. Warmth wrapped around them like a hug. The air smelled of fresh bread, roasted herbs, and sweet cinnamon. Laughter bubbled from the back where a family of 4 was enjoying pancakes. A couple in their 70s held hands across the table. The walls were painted a soft yellow with hand-drawn pictures from local kids. No fancy art, no cold silence, just life. A young waitress approached them holding 2 menus and wearing a friendly smile. Her curly brown hair was tied back in a ponytail, and her eyes sparkled with kindness. "Hi there, table for 2, she asked. "Yes, please," Sarah said. The waitress led them to a small table near the window. Elizabeth sat carefully as if the wooden chair might judge her for being too wealthy, too polished, too different. "I'm Mia. I'll be taking care of you today," the waitress said. Can I get you ladies some water to start? Sarah nodded. Yes, thank you. Mia walked away and Elizabeth looked around. There was no music playing, but the sounds of laughter, plates clinking, and quiet conversation filled the air like a gentle song. A little girl at the next table dropped her spoon and giggled as her father made a funny face. Elizabeth's heart felt strange, like it was remembering something it had forgotten. When Mia returned with the water, she said softly, "The soup of the day is Grandma Maya's chicken noodle. It's made fresh this morning." Elizabeth raised an eyebrow. "Is it really made by a grandma?" Mia smiled. "Yes, my grandma started this place years ago. She still comes in every Saturday to make her soup. Says it heals more than just the stomach." Sarah grinned. "Sounds like what you need, Liz." Elizabeth gave a small laugh. It surprised her. They ordered. Sarah chose pancakes with berries. Elizabeth went with the soup, partly out of curiosity, partly because the word grandma made her feel safe. As they waited, Sarah spoke about small things. The weather, a book she was reading, a funny story about her neighbor's dog. Elizabeth listened, her shoulders slowly relaxing. Then something happened. Elizabeth reached for her napkin and paused. Her eyes fell on Mia, the waitress, who was helping another customer. But it wasn't Mia's kind smile or her gentle voice that stopped Elizabeth. It was her necklace. A tiny silver pendant shaped like a sunflower hung around her neck. Elizabeth stared. Her hands trembled slightly. She had seen that necklace before. It was Lily's. Not exactly, but almost. Lily had worn a sunflower necklace every day since she was 16. It was her favorite flower. She said it reminded her to always look for the light, no matter how dark life became. Elizabeth's throat tightened. She remembered the day she gave it to Lily, the day her daughter had cried and whispered, "Thank you, Mom. I'll never take it off." Seeing the necklace on someone else felt like seeing a ghost. A piece of Lily had returned, uninvited, but not unwelcome. Elizabeth blinked quickly, trying to clear her eyes. The warmth of the restaurant faded as a storm of memories filled her heart. Sarah noticed the change. "Liz, are you okay?" Elizabeth didn't answer. Her eyes were still on the necklace. Mia walked back to the table with 2 plates in her hands and a smile that didn't fade. Even when she noticed Elizabeth looking at her necklace. "Here we go," Mia said gently. 1 pancake platter with berries and 1 bowl of our healing chicken noodle soup. She set the food down with care, but when she looked at Elizabeth's face, her smile faded just a little. "Ma'am," she asked softly, "is everything all right?" Elizabeth swallowed hard, trying to speak, but the words wouldn't come. Her hand trembled slightly as she reached toward the necklace around Mia's neck. "That necklace," she said in a voice barely louder than a whisper. "Where did you get it?" Mia touched the pendant gently. "This? Oh, it's special to me. It belonged to my mom. She gave it to me when I turned 16. Elizabeth's heart skipped a beat. 16, the same age Lily had been when Elizabeth gave her the sunflower necklace. Mia continued, her voice softer now. "My mom passed away a few years ago. I wear this every day. It reminds me to be strong, even when I miss her." Elizabeth looked down, unable to speak, her eyes filled with tears. Sarah gently reached over and placed her hand over Elizabeth's. "It's okay," she whispered. But it wasn't okay. Not yet. Mia noticed the shift and knelt beside Elizabeth's chair. "I didn't mean to upset you," she said kindly. "I'm really sorry." Elizabeth shook her head. "Number, you didn't upset me. It's just the necklace. It's the same as my daughter's." Mia's eyes widened. "Your daughter? She wore one just like that?" Elizabeth said, her voice cracking. "She passed away 5 years ago." Mia gently placed her hand over the pendant. "I'm so sorry. I know how that feels. It's like a hole that never really closes." Elizabeth nodded, her eyes wet. "Yes, it is." The restaurant around them faded. The clatter of dishes, the chatter, the laughter. It all became quiet in that moment. 2 strangers linked by grief and love sat in silence, connected by a single sunflower. Mia reached into her apron pocket and pulled out a small folded napkin. "Sometimes when I miss my mom too much, I write her a note and fold it up like this," she said, placing it gently on the table. "It helps a little. Maybe you could try." Elizabeth looked at the napkin. Something about the kindness in Mia's gesture, the softness in her voice, and the light behind her eyes reminded her so much of Lily that her chest ached. "I don't know if I can," Elizabeth whispered. "You don't have to do it now," Mia said, standing up. "But when you're ready, just know it helps." She walked away quietly, giving the two women space. Sarah reached for the spoon and handed it to Elizabeth. You should eat. I think the soup was made for days like today. Elizabeth picked up the spoon with shaky hands and took a bite. It was warm, simple, comforting. Not the kind of food a billionaire usually ate, but exactly the kind of food a mother needed. For the first time in a long time, Elizabeth didn't feel like a businesswoman. She felt like a mother again, a mother who missed her child. And in a small, busy restaurant in the heart of the city, she let herself grieve, not with noise, but with stillness and soup and sunflower memories. The rest of the meal passed quietly. Elizabeth didn't say much, but her mind was loud, filled with the sound of Lily's voice, the scent of her old shampoo, the way she used to hum while cooking pancakes on Sunday mornings. As Sarah paid the bill at the counter, Elizabeth stayed seated, staring at the folded napkin Mia had left. A small note. Such a simple thing. She unfolded it carefully. Inside was a message in neat, rounded handwriting. Dear Mom, I miss you every single day. I hope you're proud of me. I'm trying to be strong, just like you taught me. Love, Mia. Elizabeth closed her eyes and held the note to her heart. That was the moment something deep inside her shifted. For 5 long years, she had kept everything locked away. Her memories, her pain, her love. She thought if she stayed busy, if she kept moving forward, the sorrow wouldn't catch her. But it always did. And today, it had finally caught her. Not to break her, but to open her heart again. Outside, the city had begun to glow with golden afternoon light. People walked by with coffee cups and shopping bags, completely unaware of the quiet storm that had passed inside Elizabeth's soul. Sarah walked beside her as they made their way to the car. She was special, wasn't she? Sarah said gently. Elizabeth nodded. She had Lily's spirit. Kind, brave, gentle. Funny how life works. You come in for soup and leave with something more. Elizabeth gave a small smile. I didn't know how badly I needed that. As the car pulled up to the curb, Elizabeth hesitated before getting in. She turned to Sarah. I want to come back here, not just once, maybe regularly. Sarah's eyes lit up. I think that's a wonderful idea. Elizabeth looked back at the little restaurant. In its warm windows, she saw her reflection, but it didn't feel like the same woman anymore. The Ice Queen was melting. Now, the next day, Elizabeth sat at her desk in her cold, quiet mansion. But instead of checking emails or reviewing financial reports, she opened a drawer and pulled out an old photo album. There was Lily on the beach, in the kitchen, in her high school graduation gown, and there on her neck in every picture was the sunflower necklace. Elizabeth touched the page gently. Hi, my sweet girl, she whispered. Then, for the first time since Lily's funeral, Elizabeth took out a piece of paper and began to write. That year for dear Lily. I saw a young woman yesterday who reminded me so much of you. Her name was Mia. She wore a sunflower necklace. I cried when I saw it. I miss you every day, and I'm sorry for the times I didn't listen. I wish I had hugged you tighter the last time we spoke. I love you always, Mom. She folded the note and tucked it into the photo album. It wasn't much, but it was a start. A week later, Elizabeth returned to Mia's kitchen. Mia spotted her right away and smiled. Welcome back. Table for 2. Elizabeth nodded. Yes, please, and I'd like to speak with you if you have a moment. After seating her, Mia returned with water and curiosity in her eyes. Elizabeth reached into her purse and pulled out a small velvet box. I want you to have this, she said, sliding it across the table. Mia opened it carefully. Inside was a delicate silver sunflower bracelet. It belonged to my daughter, Elizabeth said. She would have loved someone like you. Mia's hands trembled as she picked it up. I don't know what to say. Just wear it, Elizabeth said softly. And when you do, remember you're spreading her light. Mia nodded, her eyes shining. Thank you. I promise I'll take care of it. That day, Elizabeth stayed longer. She ate slowly, smiled more, and even laughed at a little boy pretending to be a waiter with his toy notebook. Something had changed. Not everything was fixed. The pain hadn't disappeared. But for the first time in years, Elizabeth felt less alone because now she had someone to share the light. Weeks passed, and Maya's kitchen became Elizabeth's second home. Gone were the days of silent dinners in a cold mansion. Now twice a week, she sat near the window of the small restaurant, watching families laugh, young lovers share stories, and little kids spill their juice while giggling uncontrollably. And always without fail, Mia was there bringing food, warmth, and something else Elizabeth had long forgotten. Peace. One day, As soft rain tapped gently on the restaurant windows, Mia sat beside Elizabeth during a quiet moment. "I've been thinking about my mom a lot lately," Mia said, playing with a sunflower bracelet on her wrist. "She used to tell me that grief is love with no place to go." Elizabeth nodded. "It's true. And sometimes when we find someone who understands, that love starts to flow again." Mia smiled. "I think she would have liked you." Elizabeth's eyes welled up, but she didn't look away this time. "And I know Lily would have loved you." That evening, Elizabeth didn't go straight home. Instead, she took a walk, slow and steady, through the city that now felt a little warmer. Heels clicked against the wet pavement as she passed flower stands and music shops, people wrapped in scarves and kindness. Eventually, she found herself at Lily's favorite park. It was empty except for the gentle sound of birds and the distant laughter of a child chasing a paper boat in the puddles. Elizabeth sat on a bench. She reached into her coat pocket and pulled out another folded note. "Dear Lily, today I laughed again. It was a small laugh, but it felt big inside me. I met someone who reminds me so much of you. She's brave. She's kind. She wears her heart on her sleeve just like you did. I think I found a piece of you in her. And maybe, just maybe, I found a piece of myself, too. Love always, Mom." She placed the note gently beneath the bench. The same bench where she once sat with Lily on warm spring afternoons, sharing ice cream and stories. A few months later, a small article appeared in the New York Times Sunday edition. "From Wall Street to Main Street, Billionaire funds new program for grieving families." The story talked about Elizabeth Sinclair's new project, a program offering warm meals, emotional support, and free therapy to people dealing with deep loss. It mentioned how the first location opened quietly inside Mia's kitchen, turning the back room into a space of hope and healing. No press conference, no big speeches, just love and action. One morning, as Elizabeth entered the restaurant, she saw Mia hanging a new frame on the wall. Inside it was a photo, Lily smiling with her sunflower necklace, standing beside a birthday cake. Beneath it, a handwritten sign read, "In memory of Lily Sinclair, the brightest sunflowers grow after the hardest storms." Elizabeth touched the frame gently. Her lips trembled, but this time she smiled through the tears. And from that day forward, in a tiny corner of Manhattan, a once lonely billionaire grandma and a young waitress with a gentle heart brought strangers together. One bowl of soup, one sunflower,